Huh. Would you look at that? We finally got TylerTube hats. Alright guys, before we get started, there are 4 new pieces of merch. There are hats, which I know a lot of you guys have wanted forever since I wear hats in every single one of my videos. It's finally fitting that I have my own hat. There's also hoodies, white t-shirts, and black t-shirts. So just 4 basic pieces of merch. It's also a completely different company, so the quality is a million times better than what Teespring has. And also, here's the part that you guys are going to love. The link for all of this will be in the very top of the description, but whenever you click that link and whenever you go to pick out your items and whatever, whenever you're checking out, there's going to be a little box that's going to ask you for your name or alias. And that is because everybody that orders within the first 24 hours, you put your name in that little box, and everybody that orders in the first 24 hours, I'm going to put your names on this wall behind me. So I don't know if I'm going to do post-it notes, or maybe I'll buy a whiteboard to put back here, or however it works out. I'll figure it out. But everyone that orders in the first 24 hours, get your name on the wall, so that's pretty cool. So like I said, the link for all this will be in the very top of the description. So let's get the video started. Alright, we all know that butter knives are very dull. Obviously they don't really cut much except for butter. So the mission of today's video is I want to take this butter knife and see if we can make it sharp enough to do this. And that's simple as that. That is going to be the mission of today's video. So for the butter knives, we're going to be using just Amazon Basics butter knives. These butter knives, they say they are stainless steel 13/0 made in China. I have no idea what that means. It smells like a pretty good steel, so I'm sure it'll probably work just fine. So what inspired this video is that whenever I did my review of this Work Sharp knife sharpener, towards the end of that video, I did sharpen a butter knife, but it was just some cheap butter knife that I had in my drawer that's probably who knows how old, and the steel was just so soft that I just couldn't get a decent edge on it. In the comments of that video, tons and tons and tons of you guys wanted me to try again, get another butter knife, and see how sharp I can make it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Work Sharp to get the initial edge, and kind of, since butter knives have this like weird serration on them, you know, get that initial edge, get that serration off, get the ball rolling, and then we're going to push the Work Sharp to the side. And then I went ahead and I bought some whetstones. This is a 4-pack. These are double-sided stones. I have stones from 400 grit, 1,000 grit, and then 3,000 and 8,000. So with all of this, we should be able to get an extremely sharp edge on this butter knife, even though I've never really like sharpened a knife this way, but I mean, how hard can it be? Then of course we will try to slice our water bottle, but along with our water bottle test, once we sharpen it, I do have this, which is a sharpness tester, so this will be able to scientifically tell us how sharp we got this knife. So it should be pretty interesting. Before we get started, there is just a couple things that I want to note about this knife sharpener. And no, I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me run this thing through this knife sharpener 10 million times, because that'll just be extremely boring. A couple things to note: I did switch out the belt for a brand new belt, for those of you that care. And during my review of this, I mentioned that obviously this motor turns clockwise. So in my review, I mentioned that whenever you run a knife through this side, it feels just fine. But then whenever you run it through this side, where the belt is turning this way, it tries to like pull the knife down, and it just doesn't feel like you're getting a very good edge from where it's like forcing the knife to get down real low, and then it like bogs the motor down. So for this particular task, I'm going to be just using one side of the knife sharpener. I'm just going to run it through this way, and then I'll flip it around, and then run it through this way, just because I feel like that's going to give us the best edge. So let's go ahead and get started. I'd say after about 10 to 15 minutes, we'll probably have a pretty decent edge. Alright, after about 20 minutes or so, this is what we're working with. Hopefully you can see that edge pretty good. That's one side. You can see right there, you can see that I drew a line right here. That's because right about here is where the blade starts getting really thick. So we're pretty much just going to have to work with the blade from here over. You can see the edge on that side. Then you can see the edge on that side. I can tell you just from feeling it that it is extremely sharp. It feels almost already razor sharp just from the work sharp. So we're off to a very good start. So before we break out the whetstones, we're going to use the sharpness tester, see where we're at just from using the work sharp, and then we'll of course test it after we use all the whetstones. So the way the sharpness tester works, like I said, has a little piece of fishing line in the middle, and then you don't slice the fishing line. With the sharpness tester, you just push straight down, and it measures how many grams of force it takes to cut the line in the middle. And then that corresponds, it has a little card that has all the different amounts, and then it corresponds with how sharp the knife is. So we're gonna zero this out, and then we're gonna push down and see where we're at. Ooh. 280, does that say 285? It's hard to read upside down. Yeah, 280. So we are at 285 with just purely the work sharp. 285, that puts us in the category of a new high-end cutlery edge. So that's actually pretty impressive. So I feel like if we're already there with just the work sharp, which by the way, those belts on the work sharp are 120 grit. So after I get done with it going all the way up through, I think whatever those stones were, 8,000 grit, I feel like we should very, very easily be able to get to between 0 and 100, no problem. So let's get that started. I know I said this in the beginning, but I have no idea what I'm doing with this. I watched a couple YouTube videos. I'm just gonna monkey see, monkey do, and then we should be all right. So I'm just gonna wet the stone, since it is a wet stone. Oh wow, that's like soaking up all the water. I didn't really expect that. Maybe I should have prepared more. Are you serious? Is this thing literally just gonna sit here and drink this entire bottle of water? How thirsty is this thing? All right, I'm just gonna assume that that's wet enough, since this kind of seems to be, the water seems to be actually sitting on it now. So from what I saw, you're just supposed to kind of just pretty much do that on each side. And you just go back and forth on each side. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna sit here. I mean, that feels right. I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. Not that I would know if I was. So it's been probably 15, 20 minutes or so that I've been doing this. And I'm not gonna lie, honestly, I almost feel like the edge is getting more dull. Like I don't feel at all like it's getting sharper. So I might have really bad technique, but I'm sure the sharpness tester won't lie. So let's go ahead and test it. I have a feeling it's probably gonna be more dull than it was when we started. No, it's actually not. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but now it's 260. So we were at 285, and now we're at 260. So I don't know how it's gonna feel more dull, but actually be sharper. That's kind of crazy. Maybe it's so sharp it feels dull. I don't know. So I feel like it's time to move on from the 400 to the 1,000. Then I'm sure this one, oh yeah, this one's probably gonna drink up another gallon of water like the last one. All right, I think we finally got this thing full of water. I don't know why these stones are so thirsty. This one, for whatever reason, seems to just be like a little box right here. Whenever you pour water like on the sides, the water just kind of runs off. So I don't know what that's about, but let's keep going. I can tell this one is way smoother. Oh yeah, this feels really good now. So you can pretty much just call me a professional knife sharpener by this point. All This one has got to be close to being done. Ooh, this one is razor. This feels way sharper than before. I wonder, I don't think we're quite shaving sharp yet, but it's pretty sharp. Break out the scale, see where we're at. Ooh, we are at 160. So that is significantly less than we were before. I think we were at 260 before, something like that. 160 puts us at the level of a utility razor blade. So we are already razor sharp. So all we need to do is, if we can get down below 100, then we are good. That means we are as sharp as a double-edged razor blade. So I think getting under 100 probably shouldn't be a problem. So it's time to move on from the 1000 and move on to the 3000. So we are 3 times as fine. I'm sure this one's probably going to be just as thirsty as all the other ones. Well, that one actually doesn't soak up the water quite as fast. Alright, I think this stone is plenty wet. I'm not going to do the sharpness tester between these 2 stones. I'm just going to do these 2 and then we'll do it at the end and we'll do some more tests. So, yeah, that's pretty wet. It's weird how you almost become robotic while you do this. Like, you just... Alright, I think that should do it for the, what is this? 3000 grit. Feeling extremely sharp. Time to move on to the 8000 grit, which at this point, we're not even really removing any metal. We're more or less just polishing, but gotta do all the steps. Alright, as far as I'm concerned, this thing is done. It feels sharp, it looks sharp. We're probably about an hour and a half in from beginning to end. So let's see exactly how sharp this thing is. Hopefully we can get less than 100. Oh, there we go. So we are at 130. 130. I think we were at 165 last time. So 130 puts us almost at a double-edged razor blade, which is a double-edged razor blade is under 100. So we're just a tiny bit above that. So we're between a double-edged razor blade and a utility razor blade. So I think for a cheap butter knife and not really having any knife sharpening experience, I think that's pretty good. Let's move on to some other tests. So now let's do some cutting tests. Of course, we're going to start off with the classic paper test. Ooh, that's nice. That's really nice. Oh, rip there. Alright, that's actually one of the nicest paper tests I think I've ever done. Aside from maybe one of the knives I got in the battle box, that was smooth. Get a little piece of paracord here. If I can find the end of it. Oh, there it is. Should be super easy to cut. Yeah, as you would expect. Super easy. No surprise there. I have some thicker rope here. See how hard it is to cut this. I would imagine not very hard. Ooh, a little tougher. Still cut it just fine. See if we can get that in one swipe. Ah, absolutely. So this butter knife is pretty much just as sharp as any regular knife, if not just a little bit sharper. So let's get this rope out of the way. Let's stop messing around and let's do the test that we're here for. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not super hopeful I know this thing is sharp, but we only have realistically about this much blade to work with, which is, I mean, just about the same exact width as the bottle. So I don't think we're gonna make it through the bottle, like all the way, like we're not gonna slice it in 2 complete pieces, but I do think we'll probably be able to at least give it a good slice. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that was nice. Look at that. It's sliced pretty much in half, but the water's still in there. Let's roll it around this way. That's pretty crazy. So it was as everywhere that the blade could reach, it sliced through no problem. That was actually really cool. I think we can actually get through a whole one. Let me get another bottle of water. As cool as that was, I want to get through the whole bottle. So this knife is definitely sharp enough to do it. But let's just give it one more try. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we did it. We made it through. Cut it in 2 complete halves. We knocked it off the table, so it wasn't quite as graceful as the kitchen knife in the beginning, but we made a butter knife that was able to cut the water bottle in half. And that was the entire goal of the video. So that can absolutely be done. How sharp can you make a butter knife? The answer is extremely sharp. So we did it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.